Hey guys, welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast with Dr. John O'Connor. Today's show is all about a tribute to my team and most importantly, Christian Corcoran as he takes his next steps in life and he advances in his career. He's taking a new job, going back to his home state, Pennsylvania, and getting ready to get married in June to his fiance. And today it's a tribute and all about our 4.5 years together, before COVID, during COVID, opening up Volcitey HP coaching, launching of this podcast, Tough Love, and as well as launching, 2 other sites with him, including the Fort location and our Velocity Performance in Freehold. So Matt, what's up, brother?
Good to be back.
Christian, I'm going to throw the bump. So where we start? First off, I just want to say thank you. These 4.5 years were surreal. It was just yesterday that I was saying, hey, hang in there. I'm going to bring you back during COVID. And just got you trained the way I wanted you. And then all of a sudden a global pandemic happened and we were in gloves and a mask and you were commuting back and forth from PA every day like a soldier. And, you hit me with the news the other day that you got a career opportunity that I think I was shaking more than you because I was so proud of you that knowing you had taken a sales job, and I know that's something that's outside your comfort zone, that I was so proud that I feel like I was part of the process that made you mature and say, I got to do this for my future family, for my future wife, for a career that sets me up. And if I've taught you anything, it's like, you need to think not for tomorrow or next week, but for the 5-year plan, 10-year plan and beyond. And one of the amazing things, and, Matt and I've got to see it because we cover you when you go away, is the importance of family for you. And, the Corcoran tribe hangs tight. You guys go on beer runs, pizza runs, your golf tournament you guys do. You guys go remote and travel to, tropical places. And so I know family's a lot for you. And I know when you told me out by the truck that day, it hit you hard. And I was super proud of you. And as much as I'm going to miss you, I have to say that, I'm just so excited for what's next. So.
No, I appreciate that. I think the entire, 4.5 years I was with you, it kind of led me up to this moment. And, I told you out of that truck, it was like, this just happened all of a sudden. It was like 1 month ago. It just, all of a sudden this opportunity came up and, went through the whole process and it was just an opportunity. Like you said, it was just like, I can't pass this up. And, I'm so grateful for those 4.5 years through the trenches, through, going through COVID, opening those new locations and then finally, starting the HP coaching, alongside Matt as well. It was, unbelievable how quickly, and I saw it, I realized it. I was like, this is something special here. And it was when we got the Fort opened up and we really started selling our adjunctives and really, treating patients how, we wanted to treat patients. And you showed me that. And still to this day, like I still have a love for treating and helping out people, because that's the biggest joy is seeing a patient, come in at their worst and then they walk out that door 4-6 weeks, 6 months later, and they're, as close to 100% as we can get them. And that's just
Amen.
something I always love. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Matt, it was funny. I think, with you, we always look and say, Christians, I always say, this is my sharp one. He's quiet, he's more, reserved, and you work alongside me as my clinical ATC and you help prep, most of the patients over the years. And it's been a blessing. Right. And the first thing I said to him, I go, all right, I don't want to hit the panic button quite yet, but, I feel like the bulb just went out in the bat light that goes up into the sky, because as much as I lean on Matt for so many things, I think in that moment I took for granted how much I count on you, and as do our patients, right? And the one thing about teamwork, and I hope you take it with you, and I hope you're a team leader, and and this is one thing I always push you as a coach, that I'm always like, hey, you're a stud. And I saw it at our first Velocity HP coaching event, and you went to speak, and both of us at the same time, he's been holding out, right? He's been holding out, Matt. We got so when you said you took the job, I look at some, staff over the years and I'm like, get out, and we were talking about this at the national event or the international event for the Shockwave providers this year that our good friend, Dr. John Fernandez hosted. And, we were honored to be one of the co-sponsors of the event for Velocity HP Coaching. When I heard those 120, 125 doctors speak about their team, I was sitting there thinking like I had Scottie Pippen and, Bill Cartwright as my guys. Like we were putting chips up there, and they were saying they got this, they got that. I'm like, my team's one of one. And whoever has to come in and fill your shoes probably is never going to be that. It's never going to be, it's never going to be CC as I warmly refer to you as. But I think what it teaches you in all of the leadership, and it was funny, I posted, Bedros and Lewis and David and Rob and Ed and all these different people that, do they know me? Yeah, my boy Rob Gill knows who I am. These other people don't. But, when you've been a professional coach and a trainer for elite athletes, and then you move into another space, I learned from those coaches and players what I wanted to teach my players as a basketball performance guy. I learned from them what I think leadership would be. But the reality is you guys probably taught me more than anything in the trust you put in me that made me say, hey, don't quit yet. They're counting on you. Dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
And, so that's one thing that I'd say thank you. And, it's funny, so many times you have people, they talk back and you're like, and Doc H today was like, hey, one voice, and I think I've hit her with that so many times over the 20 plus years we've been in practice together that it's funny now. She barks at me and she sets me straight like that. I'm like, hey, you know what? And pulled you guys in and I can literally cue it up. And
I think she sets all of us straight there.
Yeah, these days, no doubt. So.
Good. No, I mean, it leads from the front. And working along Christian, I've been here for a little over 2 years now. And as he is your right hand, he's my left. So when we're in the trenches today, we made a few audibles, got a little backed up, but I know I can always rely on him, count on you, Christian, as my go-to guy. And, I'm going to really miss that,
Yeah, I know.
Looking forward to training and coaching up new team member. But, big shoes to fill, that's for sure. But it's been an honor just to work alongside you for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Both of you guys' words is it really means a lot. And, going back to, you, Dr. O'Connor, and like your enthusiasm and like almost like, this podcast, tough love, I get a lot of it from you for the past 4.5 years, a lot of tough love. And, I think that's what gravitated me towards, wanting to work alongside you so much is like, me being in competitive sports, my entire life, going into, playing club lacrosse at Penn State, my entire career lacrosse. And then, I've always had those tough coaches, but, I've got screamed at, I got yelled at, everything like that, but I don't take offense to that. That just motivates me to get better. And I know we had those times and everything like that where you talk to me, you pull me aside being like, hey man, like, why would we do it that way? Like, you be better. And I took that to heart and I was just like, all right, so what am I going to do that's going to make this better? And how am I not going to make this same mistake? And I think that's just why, my expertise, working with the patients and making sure that they get the best care possible. I think that's why it works so well, especially with the three of us right here is like, we got the leader right here. We got the man over here that we sometimes can't put a muzzle on, loves to talk all the time. But hey, that's what we needed. And then me over here, who then will
meatballs will Google it.
That's it.
When in doubt, meatballs will Google it.
Always.
But I mean, like that's it. Like you have the personality, and like patients gravitate towards that, and they love that. Especially when we started getting into our adjunctives, like you could literally talk to anybody, and they would be like, "All right, I'm in, 100%." And then me coming in and making sure that every single treatment plan is 100% exactly the way that you want it. We just crushed it. So again, something that I'll always never take for granted, and just hopefully take on to the next step of my career right now. And I'm super excited to everything you've taught me and that I've learned from you. That it's not going to waste for sure.
I love that, and thank you. The one thing I told you today when I was asking more questions about what you're going into, and medical device sales is an aggressive field, right? And you're going to see whiteboards, you're going to see weekly, monthly, quarterly projections and what they expect for you to do. And, that's not something we would do per se in healthcare. We look at it as and this is what I spoke about all weekend on the platform and the stage I was in at the international coaching event, is our job is to provide education. Your gift to me over the 4.5 years was having a professor of certified athletic trainers alongside me teaching me, and triage and sports medicine and stuff that we as chiropractors, may think and want to emulate, but you lived it, you did it, right? When we got you, you were in that temp job, I think in PA somewhere, in the high school setting, right?
So I honestly, I don't even remember. That's how
it was something weird.
I was just I'm out.
And then loved, and I loved, hearing the stories about you being at Penn State. And I think I probably told a little Irish folklore of all those Saquon stories, but the reality was being in a sports setting like that. And I love the fact that, you didn't want to give up lacrosse, and you did that while you were at Penn State, and you got involved with the whole team concept. So we knew, and same thing with Matt with baseball in college, me with, college basketball and playing in semi-pro leagues and staying with the training. When you have like-minded people, then the common bond is you're going to move forward. Obviously there has to be the one voice and leader, but any great leader is going to know that their subdivision, their colonels, their lieutenants, I'm only as good as you guys. And there are so many days that I am beyond grateful that I had, until Friday, I have the both of you. And I said, today's text and every day this week's gonna be about tribute, just like today's podcast is about celebrating the time we had, right? Because, as I'm getting older and I realize I'm like, hey man, it's not to infinity. There is a dash and an end date. And that's for work, that's for locations, that's for life. And that's why I said, hey, no matter what you're going to do with this job, be great. Your uncle set you up for success. You're in this awesome situation. Study it, and I have a feeling when you get back out to PA all of a sudden in the morning, when you wake up, you're going to be listening to Bidros and, all these guys and start saying, hey man, I got to be different. Because it's going to be almost like if you were trying to play college lacrosse and there's 10 of you interviewing for, I don't know positions in lax, but there's a center forward or midfield or whatever. One of 10 of you gets the spot. And just like that, one of 10 gets the device sales. And how do you connect with that physician or medical practice or, practice manager to say that, I want CC to be my guy, like I chose you. Mm-hmm. And what I realized this weekend, as I was kind of celebrating, and the plan was to have the podcast be all about you and or the relationship of the three of us, is, that is something you got to keep saying, iron sharpens iron. You're going to want to find a mentor when you get there, a mentor, and learn as much as you can. That's one thing that I love, your silent leader mentality. He's my chirper.
Can't shut me up.
But you need that
though.
guy.
We love it though. We need
classic first base, first baseman that's going to just tear apart the on base runner.
Yep.
And but the reality is that that's going to take you very far. And I think I replayed the conversation out by the truck, and I could feel the energy in your hug that you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this, and I'm like, I wouldn't let you stay. That's the first thing I said, right?
Yeah.
I said, if you were my son, I think I've used that on you a couple of times. I'm like, oh, you got to go.
Yeah.
Right? You got to go. And, I told my son with baseball, if your only scholarship was, San Diego State or something like that, and you're an IMG and you're all the way out west, say, Mom, I figured it out. You're going, and to have a life-changing opportunity like this, hey, you're going to figure it out, right? You guys going to pack your stuff. Acura's going back to PA. Let's go.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to make it. We'll see.
Tell me, share with the audience today some of the funny stories or what it was like during COVID, and then, some of the funny stories about either Velocity HP coaching or just even the podcast, some of the things and experiences that we've had.
Yeah, no. So, I mean,
in your mind,
in my mind. Yeah. So definitely, going back, starting, I was maybe working for 3 months, and then the world just shut down. And I was just like, damn, like, is this going to work out? Again, like checking my phone every single day, waiting to see if, they're going to bring me back, if they're going to reopen or anything like that. So it was very nerve wracking, but, was one of the lucky ones to get the email saying like, hey, we want you back. And I was just like, let's go. I think that was the moment where I was just like, all right, it's now or never. And we gotta, I gotta hunker down and just try to learn as much as I can and grow as much as I can within this company. Cause this is what I want to do for right now. And, COVID happened and we're all masked up. We're all wearing gloves and everything like that. And it was miserable. I hated it. The gloves were miserable. My hands were always chapped and dried because I was wearing gloves for 10 hours a day. But again, going and being there for one reason only, and that's for the patients, is to get them better. We wanted, you always taught me this right away, is that we want our clinic, our facility to be, A+ and beyond. Like we want to show people when they come in here that they smell the bleach. You always say that, like, I want them to smell the bleach, so we're always mopping every hour, everything like that. It was what we had to do. And I had no problem with it because, again, it wasn't, like, oh, we have to mop again, we have to clean again. No, it was like, this is for the patients. This is for their experience.
And our safety.
And our safety as well. Just as much as it was for them, it was for us as well, because
I would laugh the few times we had a few of the people in the ranks that weren't like us and didn't have that credo of like, bring it. The same way you put the care into the patients, scrub the floors, scrub the doorknobs. I literally thought one of us was sniffling, and I don't know whether it was in our head and it was psychosomatic, but I was like, I would freak out, or you'd get, you always got the seasonal rash on your eyes.
Right, yep, red
and
eyes,
I'd be panicked. I'm like, we're all going down. Christian's eyes. No, Doc, get over here.
Just allergies. We're good.
Christian got lucky. He got the in. I got the ixnay on the job application for Volcitey because that was just before you guys opened Freehold. And I was told, we're going to hold off for now. So I had about a 2-hour commute there and back down to Wildwood. So
yeah, you beat me on the commute. I'll tell you that. You definitely beat me on the commute. So, but yeah, no. So that was a crazy time. That was, I can't say there was any funny moments during there. It was a very serious moment, but it was what we had to go through to, kind of jumpstart us into where we are at now. And it was, I think it may have been right before COVID. You had opened up Freehold, and we had this big space that was just vacant for a while, and it was tough, And I took that on as a challenge to be like, what can I do? How can I use my services? Again, I'm the silent assassin. I don't speak much, but I want to make it the best that I can be. When we reopened up and we had Freehold open, I tried to be as, the leader I could be on the rehab side and take it over and grow that facility. Because when I saw that turf field, I was like, oh, let's go time. It's just exactly what I knew, and that's what I loved it.
Yeah, I would chuckle when I'd peek in there, and of course I had to do the Dr. O'Connor patient care side. But when I would pivot and be directing, there was nothing that would make me happier that if, Matt was teaching some type of power component and then you were doing skill stuff, especially if we had a lax kid in there or baseball. I know you like to show your arm off a little bit. And, the reality is that effort, you can't fake effort.
No.
And, I was inspired to be a better leader, a better healthcare guy, practitioner, because of you guys. And, that's what meant so much to me. Like even in the interview process, I'm going to have to be like, he's going to be kicking me under the table because he's like, Doc, stop comparing him to Christian, but when you're blessed as an owner and hearing, the one word that a lot of owners were saying, they're remarkably successful guys. And what they were saying with healthcare reform and all the changes were like a word I kept hearing was jaded. And I felt bad for them. Even knowing that I was losing you on Friday, I said, I have to tell you, I've been blessed. When I was so hurt during COVID, you guys didn't let me, and you didn't let a patient know. You guys just would be setting me up and packing me up, but really were protecting me.
Yep.
And because pride-wise, you guys know that I'd go to grab something, this and that. And I was so weak at the time and, fragile, that you're like, hey, you're good. Truck's done. Roll out.
Yep.
And that's that, that family side of a business that regardless of who you lose, there's one thing to lose people to career relocation. God bless them. In business, relationships, life, school, kids transfer, whatever, But when you lose somebody that becomes family, it really becomes more of reflect and smile, right? And I have been literally thinking about it since Friday out by the car that I'm like, I'm so proud of this kid. I am so excited to see what is next for you.
Yeah, I think it goes like, I always hear this one saying, I might be messing it up, but it's like, don't be sad that it's over, but be happy that it happened. So I think that's a big, a phrase that can kind of sum up this whole relationship right here is that, you can't be sad that it's over, but, you can be sad, but, there should be more happiness than, what does that say?
So I'm going to tell you, you're thinking about this.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's weird. Dr. Seuss, that's right.
And it popped up on my story today.
That's crazy.
And when you said, I go, no, he didn't just say that.
Yeah. No, I've been thinking about that for the past week and a half.
And that popped up on 2020 during COVID. And I said, for some reason, this is resonating today.
Yeah.
And you saying that right now confirmed everything that I was thinking and what I told him about the special relationship we had with the young man. And like I said, I say it with your parents, and I know it's funny. I chuckled. There was a good 2-year stretch that as I was building up my social media, Mama Corcoran was the first one.
Oh yeah, always.
Still love it. I was like, she's an early riser, 5:38. Like,
yep. No, she's that's Mama Corks.
She got Christian's beat. He's never on there.
Yeah, I know.
That's it. So, but I have to tell you, the one thing I would say, like I said, whether you're coaching sports or work, I tell practices when I'm coaching all the time, and we're dealing with the practice we're coaching right now down in Florida, is your team has to be like the fingers on your hands, and they have to all move and close and open, grab, let go as one. And
they have to want to show up every day.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
And
Absolutely.
I have to tell you that I have seen you come in masked up with a head cold, or you coming in busted up, or me, God knows I've been busted up way too many times to count. And it's unspoken.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something that comes with the repetition of great culture. And, and don't get me wrong, I have moments, I had a therapist that I still, to this day, she had moved on, thought she was one of the better therapists I had prior to all the injuries and stuff. But absolutely a fantastic team player during COVID, and wish her well to this day, because I have to tell you, it brought, it kind of re-sparked my love of physical medicine and a multidisciplinary practice, because I was starting to become jaded in my own view of what it was and the team members that I was hiring. And then I've never been one to say it's them. I measure my success on how I react to situations, how I shine or not. And, but I have to say, you guys have kind of put me on a stage, and, obviously today's all about you. And, I don't think I get to where I am in the adjunctive, community, right? So, we're successful with Pulse Pemf and MedRay and EMS Doloclast and cryoscience, because even MedRay, what's up, AJ and Josh? The reality is that I don't know how many times you corrected me on the definition of what it is, but if I didn't have my academic, getting me straight, I don't think I would ever retain that information.
Pretty sure every video.
And one time, maybe 12 in the same video.
That's what it is. And being the silent assassin, my man CC, it's what I couldn't do my role without you. I'm a motor mouth, I go, but I always said you're the brains behind the operation. Doc leads, you're the brains. I'm just the guy that goes into the trenches and gets it done.
Vice versa too. I mean, I can't do what I do without you as well. Again, a little bit more quiet, but I utilize the, we go back to education, right? Education is key. You're always asking me, research this, what's this, what does this mean, everything like that. So I'll do the research gladly, but then I need somebody to talk. I need somebody to do it for me. Not so much do it for me, but you know what I mean? Use that personality that you have with these patients to kind of convey it across to them in the way that they understand it.
Right.
Because I'm going to start talking in terms and they're going to be like, what did you just say?
And today we had to buy some time. We had a patient coming in for an adjunctive service follow-up. she was waiting for a little longer than I liked, but we had all rooms taken. I was like, yo, Cece, got to talk to her about something, man. See how she's feeling, see how she's doing. And you're like, all right, I got you.
Got it, figured it out, knew what route we were taking, and then we got to treating, and that was it. It kind of helped, ease us into the rest of the day, got us on a better track, and then the rest of the day we were fine.
Smooth sailing.
And I think that's a blessing and a pearl on your belt, if you will, or a tool on your belt of being an ATC, because the ones over the years that when I was in doc mode, but training basketball players that could think on their feet and triage, whether one might just be a calming, here's a glass of water, calm down, you're gonna be all right, or okay, wow, that's a grade 3 ankle sprain and you may have broke it, let's get you to the hospital. And I think you do that with a silent, leadership that's, today being recognized and applauded because, it's just a great opportunity, So to take this moment to say, wow, I've watched you today, and we were talking to one of the young men that just finished his collegiate basketball career and second ACL surgery. And we're going back and forth. We're setting him up at another one of our locations for the rehab plan. And as we're going through it, what I love with you, and I'm an observer of people, right? And I think that goes all the way back to when I was paralyzed and had the eye patch, and I wanted to see who was watching me because I felt so insecure because here I am with the one side of my face, looks like a Marvel comic where I had a stroke on one side and normal on the other. But I took the acute hearing part, the listening, and I could hear the compassion, and I could hear your desire to learn or kind of fire synapses to say, oh yeah, I remember this and that. And the young man, you could see his confidence building in our practice because of the conviction you showed.
Yeah. And like you said, it was his second ACL. So I already worked with him previously. So he already had that. He knew when he came in and he saw me, and it's definitely going to be tough when he goes over to Red Bank and then realizes that I'm not there with him. And I told him, it's like, we got a great team over in Red Bank. You're not.
Shout out to Whack.
Shout out to Whack. So again, I've already worked with him. He sometimes gets a little bit in his head about like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this correctly? He never hates to be late. I think he was maybe 15 minutes late to his eval this morning. So he was already kind of
15 minutes early. We moved his time to 12.
Never mind.
Showed up at 11:45.
So he was, and I could tell, I can see the frustration on his face, and that, he's going to go through this long process again. I was just like, hey, listen, man, we got you. You came to the right place. We're going to make sure that we get you right. And again, just trust this process. I'm going to make sure that, you're in good hands, and that, you're going to get the same level of care as what I would give you. And he was just like, yes, sir. Like, yeah, absolutely. He's all in. He's ready to buy in, and it's going to be a grind. ACL is not a hard rehab to to overcome. But he did it once, and I know he's going to do it again. So I'm excited to see where he goes from there. So. And
he's done with his athletic career, but he'll be getting ready for life now.
And what was great too, when he was talking to me, he's just like, I'm gonna treat this as if I'm going back to playing. Have that same mentality. He's like, I'm not just doing this just to go back to just daily life. It's like, I'm gonna do this as if I'm gonna go play collegiate college basketball again. And it was great to hear, because I was just like, all right, he's in.
That's what's great about being athletes.
Absolutely. And I have to say, both of you guys do a great job. And I know that's been something I've been doing for a quarter century, and damn near as long as you two have been alive, is sharing my stories, or the stories of my athletes, or the stories of my hardships. People see me now, and I'm going to be 50 in a few weeks, and they're like, man, you're in great shape, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, let's talk. And, when, the young man was speaking today, he said, I want to be a personal trainer. I want to be an athletic trainer. And I said, hearing you speak, you sound like a young version of my guys. And I shared with him, the success I had in training and the accolade, and, from 2000 to 2010, the number of kids that I had that were, first team, second team, all shore, all-time leading scorers at their high schools, or 1,000-point scorers at their high schools. And it left a void. It left an emptiness, financially and even emotionally. And I think one of the things that I may actually take the trip just for him to say, what about being an ATC? What about going back to school, and if you haven't done the exercise physiology classes, take some online classes, take as much as you can remote while you're getting healthy. use this next year to get healthy and have that, like be an ATC, CSCS, go into training. Now all of a sudden you have 3 jobs. You can write exercise programs. You can teach them, i.e. train, and you can work in a clinical setting. Now you're a basketball player, and now I sound like Phil Jackson talking, because now you truly are a triple threat.
Yeah, 100%. Christian and I were actually just talking about that. That was our 7 a.m. talk this morning about, we're getting applications for a new ATC for the team. But anyway, long story short, about credentials, right? Going to school. We were talking about going for exercise phys, kinesiology, exercise psych. Instead of just focusing on one, it's so vital and important, especially nowadays, to do it all together.
100%. I see it with my son, and, I think you look at it as your first love of your life. For me, was my mom. My second, was Jessica. And then the third was my son. And, obviously there are people and blips and this and that, but in that timeline across time, those people stopped me in my tracks. They made me say, I want to be better for them. I want to love them. I want to be the best person I can be. And with my son, with sports, I always say to him, if you had a fraction of how much I see in you with the ability you have, and I am tough, as you as you said with tough love, I always tell people, look, I'm an average dad. I'm a badass coach.
Yeah.
I could break a son, but I will make a man. And, with everything that I saw with him, I see with you guys sometimes, and God knows, I tell all the team, I go, oh, you guys think you get hard? Mm-mm. These guys get me at about 2 feet, full muzzle blast, and I blow them
Christian
up.
and I just look the other way.
You're like, oh, please God, he ate at least. Thank God he's eating a lot.
Yeah.
He's not hangry.
Yeah, right.
And but the reality is that that's a huge quality that I think you bring to the table.
Yeah.
And I've made a lot of connections with you and him where you guys are quiet, very intellectual, very caring, but that inner leader has to be vocal at times. It can't always be a silent thing.
Yep.
Because the big thing, what I see as I'm growing nationally is, and you're going to see this now, you're going to corporate sales, and there's going to be a whiteboard, and there's going to be names on the board, and there's going to be somebody measuring you like being back in high school and who's going to be first team, second team, all conference or whatever. They're trying to beat you in goals scored or devices sold or whatever. Is you remind yourself of this conversation right now. They say, hey, listen, we didn't come here to be average.
No.
Right? And second place is the first loser.
Yep.
Right? And, and all those kind of things, I never care if we lose. And what does lose mean, right? Lose is relative. We had a patient that we saw right before I left for Fort Lauderdale. It was the best clinical delivery I've had in my 25 plus years in practice. I almost walked out, looked in the mirror and said, I had an out-of-bound experience. Some really intellectual doctor went in there and gave a presentation, and the patient was like, I got to think about it. And again, it was a number, it was expensive.
And you set the tone. Every single person on our team that day was on point.
100%.
It was a great day. And then,
and I walked away and I went into the bathroom, I was washing my hands, and I looked in the mirror and I said, you know what? I hope he doesn't need surgery. I'm wishing him blessings of healing. And I know I gave him enough free pearls that even if he doesn't come back to us, and I hadn't known yet that he was already scheduled for Monday for a follow-up. And because I think when he genuinely got in the car and reflected on the conversation, I think we covered so many points that I don't care what direction he went. He'd go, that was the most thorough description of my injury, course of treatment, outside parameters to enhance the healing process. that I've ever heard. When he was in the office today, there was such a calmness about him that he was no longer, and we always say this in coaching, right? And you guys, the nerd to my left kind of teaches me this, is that confidence comes in repetition, right? If you know the subject matter, right, then you're going to say biophotomodulation, right? Did I get it right?
That was wrong.
It was wrong.
Photobiomodulation.
There you go. So anyway, moral of the story, as seen here live with my guy. I'm going to have to still call him in Pennsylvania. So, but the reality is when you're throwing it around, the reality is that I spin it, but everything that day was on point. And when he sat there, he went from a consumer that was informed to a patient that trusted the process. And I think, and the other thing too is, I think when we talk about those terms and we talk about medical terminology all the time, I'll never forget some of the best seminars I went to. They said, listen, when you're on screen, that's one thing. But when you're talking to patients, you're better off to share testimonials and talk about what it's like using comparisons that they can understand versus science that intimidates them.
Yep.
And I never really appreciated that until I got older in life because, and really Dr. Fernandez had just said this to me. He goes, when you cross your arms, you're a big guy. Like you're getting bigger. Every time I see you, it looks like you're gaining 5-10 pounds of muscle. He goes, but when your arms are open, it looks like you're going to reach out and give somebody a hug and it's much more welcoming. Well, guess what? When you use this medical terminology and it intimidates somebody, most people aren't confident enough to say, Christian, I don't understand what you're saying. Can you break it down? They'll probably stop talking to you.
Yeah.
Or not come back.
Be like, what the heck is this?
Yeah. And say, they were over my head the entire time, and I don't know whether it was real or not because I didn't comprehend what the frig they were saying. Right. And I think that's one thing that I got from you guys, from both of you. And it's such a nice, yin and yang with the two of you, because I watch you guys interact, and sometimes like I'm doing a chart or I'm fighting myself that I know I have to do the chart. And Chris is like, are you done with the charts yet? I'm like, no. I'm going to pretend I'm pretending. I'm almost done. No, I'm not. But the moral story is I watch you guys interact, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing to see the communication. I've even seen you guys frustrated over the last couple of years, and I know somebody wanted to pipe off in one direction, and then all of a sudden somebody will smirk, and then you guys get a little code to go to the bathroom, and then you're high-fiving each other and laughing like two guys on Charlie Brown.
There's always a way, man.
Yeah,
When we're with each other 11 hours a day, you got to have the inside jokes.
That's it.
All right, meatballs. I need you to put some light on this podcast today, because I feel like, it wouldn't be tough love without you sharing some stuff. So feel free to, celebrate our guy here as we're coming to an end of an era.
No, 100%. I mean, the biggest thing, Christian, is the bond you and I have, outside of the workplace, of course, but inside the workplace is not many people have what we have with the relationship on the clinical floor. We have our own language, the way we communicate on the floor when we're stacked up with patients, but also, again, we have our inside humor. That's so important to me. As you know, my personality, Manny Meatball is coming in hot. But, when we have tables full, chairs full, 3 patients waiting, there's always one little thing to happen where you and I will look at each other and just read the room and then just crack up. Patients are looking at us like, what? I'm like, no, nothing.
We're good, nothing.
Go in the other room. So that's really the biggest thing I'm going to miss is fueling off of the same energy that we have inside and outside of the clinic. I mean, it's one thing to be on clinically, but it's also another to get through the day the way we do with our positivity, our energy, our humor, and it just really plays such a big part.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's it. Just goes back to, I think, what the whole goal of what we're trying to do is just help people. We share that passion. And we can crack jokes on the side, and I love that. And and it goes back to both of us being in competitive sports. We're part of a team. And sometimes in the team it might be disagreements. And we might be like, oh, we do it this way, do it that way. But at the end of the day, once the game's over or the day's over, we're gonna grab a beer, we're gonna go hang out, shake hands, being
next
like,
game.
Now we're here, and then that's it. So it's like, I always appreciate both of you guys for that. It's like, we're in the trenches together, and there's going to be, battles within that day. But at the end of the day, hang up the cleats, and then we're going to go grab a beer together, and that's it. So then that's it.
100%. And it all starts with, the coach, the manager, and the captain of the squad.
This is true.
without a doubt, I have to say that I'm listening to you two, and I will say I'm probably the crankiest of the three. And
Especially when you get home at 2 a.m.
I will tell you both, you've made me a better leader, because I will say that since I've had the two of you with me, any day that I left and I didn't leave in good spirits, before the end of that day, if you guys say that, like, I've never deleted that thread of us, right? That I've come back before my end of day, which could be 9 o'clock, because God knows I go to, well, you might go to bed as early as I do.
Yeah,
but,
probably.
But the reality is that I make sure to celebrate you guys on days that I was rough to you. And it's on purpose.
Yeah.
Because I think early on, as a practice owner and a business owner, I had meitis, right? And I wasn't into the coaching, leadership, reading, and learning. It wasn't, we, us, they, it was I, me. I did it. Well, if it wasn't for me. And what you realize, you want to hear your patients say, they are amazing.
Yeah.
I want to say, we offer a great system. I also want to say, as an owner, I couldn't do it without them. And right. I can say with my entire heart that what you guys have given to me over the last 4 years, 2 years, 6 years combined plus, and you're stuck. You're shackled to me, so don't plan on putting your resumes out.
That's it, man.
But the reality is that I would tell you that I have to say, I'm going to miss the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And, you're probably going to get, the team thread's probably going to be out there, and sometimes.
That's not going away.
That's it. We're changing it now.
We'll just change the name of it, but
we're changing it. You know what it is? Now we're going to just be like, Team Volcitey, INTL, like international, something, and it'll be about leadership. It'll be like, if you get a good quote or I get a good quote, you get, you're learning, you're going to be in a new vertical about just thrown back in, right? And I think that's the one thing that I love that Ed Milet does, that he's so genuine in his podcast when he really loves somebody. It's like, hey, there's going to be more of us. This isn't the last time you're going to see me.
Yeah, no way.
And how I'm climbing across social media, and that I'm going to be shouting you out when you hear CC. I'm not talking about the pitcher from the Yankees with the bad knee. Yeah. I'm going to be shouting you out saying, hey, listen, I needed that quiet storm. I need that silent leader today. And, and that's the one thing I know that we go in the hiring process. We can't bring somebody in that's another meatballs, right? We need to know that what worked was that leader that was.
I don't think we can handle 2 meatballs.
No. That's it. Unless it's Sunday sauce, right? So, but the reality is that what we learned is there was a formula of success. What I'm grateful for is that, you were a huge part of it. And, so again, today's all about Christian Corcoran, the time, and Friday, Friday's going to be a social media. I may even have a photographer there, so get your head around it. So you guys make sure you're all tightened up for that.
Social event.
So it might be a social event. But like I said, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm sure, Matt, the entire team, past employees, and of course, the thousands upon thousands of patients that you've helped, you've inspired and motivated in the work you put in. So just thank you. Thank you all around.
No, I appreciate that, and right back at you too. Thank you for everything. You're the one that gave me this opportunity to come on board to Velocity, and it may have been a little scary hiring an athletic trainer. I don't even know if there was one before me. It was, something like, you took a big risk at me, and I wanted to show you what I could do. And I think you realized that pretty quick. And, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without you. I wouldn't be moving on to this new opportunity without you. So, all in all, yes, you did give me a career, and I really, really appreciate that. So
God bless you. You mean more than me, you'll ever know. So.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. A little outside the norm of what we usually do in our Tough Love podcast, but sometimes you just gotta, sprinkle some love and or show love for people. Matt and Christian, literally, it's my big three. It's my team. Literally, it says the squad. My squad. Right. I have a couple guys that I work with, but without these guys, I couldn't get to where I am today. So I'm so blessed to have them. I wish this young man to my left all the success in the world, to many years of health and happiness with his upcoming marriage and the new job that he starts on Monday. So anyway, for more wonderful podcasts like this, follow us on our platform. Thank you so much for following us today. And, we'd love the comments for this one because, again, if you know us as a practice and you worked with Christian, God knows, I know you loved him. Please show him some love and wish him well in his upcoming career and, the rest of his life with his beautiful wife. So God bless you. Thank you guys for joining us today.